Home 127-122 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Just wasn't their night.
Yeah, they need Darius Garland back. He just makes the team so much better. Well, he's been out, Rondo's been out, and I think there's one other guy out.
Well, they said Darius Garland's going to be dealing with whatever he's dealing with for the rest of the season.
Yeah, which is not good.
No. So they're
gotta
off
adapt.
Tonight. They will play tomorrow night, again here at home, against the Charlotte Hornets at 7 o'clock tomorrow night here in WMMS. Of course, now that March is underway, if you want to get any gear from CLE Clothing Company, they just dropped a brand new Buzzard shirt last night. You can get it online. You can get it in one of their stores. So make sure that you use the code SPRING for 20% off. Spring, all through the month of March at CLE Clothing Co. We got a lot of messages, a lot of mail from people calling Mary crazy.
What did
we had
I
a
do?
conversation about cave monsters yesterday.
Oh, that. All right.
We got well.
Grow up.
I'm going to speak in your defense here. There's a book that maybe you should read. That's
The Bible.
Can be. Yes, the cradle of all history and civilization. No, it's called In Search of Real Monsters, and there's this cryptozoologist, a guy named what's the guy's name? Freeman, something Freeman, Richard Freeman. And he's a scientist, and he's out there looking for these creatures. He goes, look, certain hominids only went away about 12,000 years ago. So in the span of history, that's not that long. So it stands to reason that there could maybe still be things out there. So this guy's out there. Now, listen, if you're gonna keep your funding, you got to write these books. Who knows if you actually think, But he's out there looking for the Mongolian death worm in the Gobi Desert. He's looking for giant anacondas in the Brazilian rainforest. And he said a lot of people don't like to use the word monster, but the word monstrous means a revelation, and it's quite an appropriate term for what we're trying to find. So maybe this is a book for you. Maybe this is something that will make you even more resolute in your opinion.
Dude, you don't want me to get into caves. I'm going to start doing my research, and I'm going to become an expert.
Yes, I want you to do that.
I
absolutely
Bill wants you to get stuck in a cave.
Every week we can do Mary's Cave Corner, where I teach you new facts about caves
cave
around.
cast, yeah.
The cave cast around the United States.
So maybe something worth looking into. Whether or not unusual animals still exist. Now, I don't think it rises. I don't think this guy's looking for, as we were talking about yesterday, subterranean carnivorous creatures. Feasting on human flesh.
Listen, my only point was there is no evidence that it doesn't exist. Nobody has proven that it's not there.
Right, but that is the same argument that people use for gaps in the evolutionary record. They go, well, because it's not perfect, they use that as an excuse to negate the entire thing, and that's just not how it works. You can't disprove a negative, because we could say there's no evidence they do exist. No evidence that anything like that exists.
Okay.
All I'm saying is this guy's out there looking.
Right.
He's still looking for the Yeti.
Yeah.
He's looking for all kinds of things. And if you cast your mind back to hundreds of years ago, things that we would now take for granted but hadn't been seen yet. Imagine the first time somebody saw a zebra. They're like, what is this beast? Yeah, it looks like a horse and talks like a horse. And yet,
that's the first time someone sees a zebra where they haven't seen, they've seen horses. And they haven't seen a zebra. Because, there's people that are
they have a frame of reference.
And a zebra looks normal to them. And then they see a regular horse and look at this boring-ass horse. One color?
What's wrong with the zebra?
Lame.
Yeah.
Lil Sebastian.
Yeah. It's
all
all one color.
There's an animal called the okapi that ended up being kind of a hybrid of a giraffe and a zebra. It looked like just a short-necked giraffe. So at one time or another, animals that are now, have been classified and such were considered monsters. And so, now again, this is a long way to the movie The Descent, which is what got us on that big tangent yesterday.
So people they're saying, Mary, you're crazy. That could never exist.
Yes.
Well, I get that side of it too.
A lot of them just want to call you crazy, and that's
cool.
fine, and who cares, right?
I get it.
But this guy's out there.
These people are just too afraid to believe, man.
They're afraid of the truth, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah, well, people fear the unknown, right? They fear what they don't understand.
You have to embrace it.
Embrace your fear.
What do they say? Do one thing every day that scares you.
What was the thing you did today that scared you?
Wiped.
Today, yeah. Bill said he wiped. That was his thing. Why that would frighten you, I'm not sure.
I always get nervous. There's gonna be blood.
Oh my God! What is your diet like?
It's fine, but there's not blood. But I just get nervous because of conversations that we've had on this show. That this is gonna be the time that it's gonna be the wrong kind of blood too, not that light color,
Dark brown
tar
blood.
looking blood.
I have a bad case of diarrhea.
I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea.
So was there any blood?
No. And I also have a bidet, so like it's squeaky clean. Usually it's a one wipe, dry it off situation, and it's clean and there's no blood in the toilet.
Well, then
It's all good.
what precipitated this concern?
Well, she said do one thing that scares you every day, and then that's just something that's always in my mind.
Always in your mind. You go, one of these times I'm going to wipe, there's
Yeah.
going to be blood.
There could be. I'm not going to say there's going to be, but there could be. Like, there could be a cave monster.
Well, no, right. I
Prove
understand.
that there's no blood.
No, okay. Refer to the paper. It's right there. It's peer reviewed, by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, he showed it to Grandma, and she goes, it looks fine to me. Okay. Yeah, well, of course there could be.
Right.
But it sounded like maybe there was some concern there. That's why we were worried
Yeah,
for a
just-
second. Okay.
Just, that's one thing that's just always in the back of my head, where it's like, there's going to be that time where you go and it's not beets.
Man, I've had that terrifying moment.
It never crosses my mind that I'm going to
Beets?
wipe and there might be
Oh.
blood there. Yeah. And I've had a colonoscopy. You know, I was concerned for a little while.
There's sometimes where you push real hard, or if it's lumpy, or whatever, or if you're constipated. And
What
it's,
are you eating?
No, there've been times depending on what you eat, if it's like a harder, more solid poop that's hard to come out, and it's like, oh, this one cut a little, and then there's that bright red blood.
It's like a knife.
I
This
can't
one
be the
feels like
only
there's
one.
pistachio shells in it.
Yes, or if it's too big and you got to squeeze it out, and you look down, you're like, I can't believe that just came out of me. And then
Sometimes
you're-
the farts are worse than the poop.
sometimes
The farts
We
come like a
God.
knife.
we should add that to the mission statement.
sometimes farts are worse
Sometimes
than
the
poop.
farts are worse than the poop.
I don't think I've done
Bill in the
anything today
stairwell.
that scared me yet.
Why did you say, oh my God?
Because I didn't know Jason was standing behind Cody. And so when I looked over there was a whole nother face.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
it's
I was
something
like,
that scared you. You
Oh,
looked-
yeah, there you
That's
go.
right.
Looking at Jason scared me today. There you
Yeah.
go.
Poundcake wanted a second opinion on his paper from the break. So he wanted to show Jason, make sure everything is okay. So, listen, whether or not people are afraid to face the truth, as you say, I just thought this was an interesting book that you might want to read. It's about it's a guy who's out there looking for these animals.
Order it
It's
from
called
me on
In
Amazon.
Search of Real Monsters. Richard
Order it.
Freeman is the author.
I'll pay you back. Just
You'll
order
pay
it.
me back.
Just
Yeah, that's
order it.
okay. I don't know how much it is on Amazon. Throw it right to your Kindle.
I've been on an Amazon tear lately. Everything. Anything I need, I'm just like, I'm just going to order it on Amazon. I'll get here in a day or two.
Yeah, I've tried to cut way back on my Amazon because all I was doing, I was spending half my time breaking down boxes, and I'm like, this cannot be good. This is like way too much waste or whatever.
Well, I
And-
was just like, so I went to the pet store yesterday to get my cat. They're like these sticky pads you put on the couch so that they don't scratch the corner of the couch.
because
then-
you're in your boyfriend's house now.
Right. My couch was destroyed. There was no going back from the couch that I had. She had already ripped it to shreds, so it didn't matter. But he has nice furniture. So I went to the pet store to get these pads because then when they go to touch it, their paws stick. They don't like it. You leave it up there for 2 weeks and they learn, hey, don't touch the couch. I went to 2 different pet stores and they didn't have it. And I'm like, I know for a fact Amazon's going to have this. So why did I waste my time going to these 2 pet stores when I could have not left my house and saved 2 hours? You know?
You could call him.
I could have called them, I guess.
Do you think that the first big cohabiting fight that you and your boyfriend will have will be over the cat?
It wasn't a fight last night, but we did have a discussion because he has a ranch house, so there's not really a great place.
A lot of tumbleweeds?
Yes,
Cattle
a lot
in
of
the back?
tumbleweeds.
How many
I didn't-
heads of cattle?
I didn't realize he had 8 heads of cattle. That was what it was. And so I was like, if you expect
What is that
me,
staring through the bedroom window at night? Oh, that's contented Linda Grace.
No, there's no real good place to put the cat litter box because there's no basement. There's no like hidden room or area that isn't like in direct traffic because it's all.
Oh, there's
all in the
no basement.
No, it's a 1-level house. So there's not really anywhere for her cat litter box to go that isn't in direct view or in a walkway. So we didn't get in an argument.
No,
but
but
it was,
wait. I know there's no basement.
There is no basement.
Huh.
This is a one-level ranch house.
Well,
That's it.
I grew up in a ranch. There's basements. I mean, ranch houses have basements. They just don't have a second floor.
No second floor, no basement. One level. That's
Okay.
it.
Gotcha.
He's not hiding a basement from you.
I don't think so. I'd be very upset if he was hiding a basement because we'd have so much more room for
What
things.
does this giant metal door in the floor go to that's
Excuse
obscured by
me?
this rug? Nothing. It's got a giant padlock on it.
When I walk over here, it sounds different. What is it? Clink, clink.
That's my root cellar. Stay out of there.
But yeah, so it wasn't an argument. It was just one of those things where we were both getting increasingly frustrated because there's just no good spot to put it. And I know he doesn't
Next
want.
to the bed.
How about on the back porch?
There is no back porch.
Outside.
Just what, in the yard?
Yeah.
She's an indoor cat.
Yeah, well, time to learn. Time to get outside.
Well, I told him, I was
Fresh
like,
air.
I know that you don't want a cat, and you would have never had a cat if it weren't for me. And he goes, yeah, exactly. He's like, so I'm probably not going to be happy no matter where it goes, you know? So it's one of those things where it's like,
This guy's into you, boy.
we're
Good
both
for him.
compromising. I didn't want to move
understand.
back to Berea.
I understand.
He didn't want a cat.
I
Fall in
understand.
love.
However,
What are you gonna do?
having a cat exponentially worse than living in Berea.
You don't know that.
I've never had a cat or lived in Berea.
Exactly.
I'm throwing darts, and they're all bullseyes on the cat. By the way, Sean emailed me. He goes, hey, you guys were talking about caves. You got to read the story of John Jones in Utah. And I guess they made a movie. They made a fictionalized version of this a few years ago. But this is a true story. This guy and his brother, who were cave explorers, they would go on caving expeditions all the time in Utah. And the first time that they went into a cave called the Nutty Putty Cave, first off, I would never go into a cave called the Nutty Putty Cave.
Sounds like you're going to get stuck.
He did get stuck and he died there. This guy, John Edward Jones, was with his brother Josh. This happened in 2009. And he had crawled into, apparently there had been some issues with these caves just a few years before they had reopened after something happened or they were deemed to be a little bit dangerous. I don't know what. They had just reopened like a year or two before. And this guy and his brother go into this Nutty Putty Cave. It was a few days before Thanksgiving in 2009. And he got stuck. He was 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, and he went into a cave that he thought was one kind of cave, and it wasn't. He went into a formation known as the birth canal, which is really tight, and you have to crawl through it carefully it's kind of like on a dare, right?
Yeah.
So that's what he thought this was, but it wasn't what it was. And so he got in there, he went head first, with what sounds like his arms at his sides, which does not seem like that's how you'd want to go. And, but within minutes, they said that he realized that something was not good. And so then he was stuck and he had no room to turn around. And he couldn't even wiggle backwards. So he right?
That's terrifying.
the
This
thing.
makes
Yeah.
my chest hurt.
That's
Yeah.
why
So he just had to go forward. So he exhaled the air in his chest. So they said this was basically like a 10 by 18 inch
What?
area.
That's like a doggy door.
Something. About the size of the opening of a clothes dryer is what they said that this guy got stuck.
Why would
what
you do
would
that?
possess somebody to want to crawl through that?
Because these people are
Curiosity.
cave explorers and they're looking for, they heard some girl saying, there's carnivorous subterranean monsters.
I didn't say go look for them.
What, you just going to think they're there? How are you going to find them and prove them if you're not looking for them?
Don't be 6 foot 280 or whatever, however big this guy is.
That's
it's
a good
too
start.
big to be in a
200.
cave.
Send in a dwarf. I hear
Yes. Children, that's what they're for.
you. Send in children. They did it with Carol Ann and Poltergeist. So when he tries to deflate his lungs as best he can to try to move, but obviously, eventually, you have to inhale. And when he did, he got stuck for good. And so his brother tried to pull him out, but he could not. And so then the guy slid down a little bit more. I guess he was still trying to extricate himself.
Oh, I hate this so much.
So
So sad.
his arms were pinned beneath his chest, and so he couldn't move at all. And so So they eventually call and they're trying to get people out here to get this guy out.
What would you even do?
But he finds that he's upside down and he's bent to the point where he can't move. They're trying to create some system of pulleys and ropes to get him out or whatever. And they could not get him out. And so because he was upside down, it was putting a lot of stress on his heart. Because, your heart has to pump blood out of your brain when you're upside down like that. When we're standing up, gravity does all the work. If you're upside down and all that blood's rushing to your head, it's no good. Your heart's got to work to pump that out. And so they finally pulled as hard as they could with some pulleys, but the pulleys failed. And they had no other real viable plans, and so this guy was trapped. They did everything they could, but he died of cardiac arrest. They spent 27 hours trying to save this guy, but he died in that hole there or whatever.
God,
and because they couldn't get him out, they collapsed that part of the cave and sealed him in there. The movie's called The Last Descent. It was kind of a fictionalized version of this. But so whatever's left of him is still in that cave, the Nutty Putty cave in Utah. And so it's now a natural memorial and a grave site for this guy, John Jones. But yeah, anytime I watch one of these documentaries, you guys were talking about the one where they, the Last Rescue, or what's it called, where those...
With the kids and the soccer team.
The soccer team, yeah, you're caught in a cave or whatever. Anything that has to do with caves, I'm like, no, thanks. What was the James Cameron diving cave movie? Remember that years ago? It was like in IMAX. The Sanctum.
Yeah.
Sanctum was that movie, yeah. The cave divers on IMAX.
Sanctum.
Not only are you cave diving, you're also underwater.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, that's
Stay on terra firma.
How deep can a human being go down even with all the scuba gear? Cause it's still not that far.
Because the pressure gets you.
Because it's like when someone said they're like, I'm a world-renowned scuba diver, I can go 60 feet. I was like, 60 feet, bitch, that's all you can go? You're world-renowned for going 60 feet? But I didn't realize that was like a lot.
Well, there are also people who like free dive, who just learn how to hold their breath so that they can dive further and further down. They don't because they don't want the equipment weighing them down or whatever. I wonder how you become world-renowned at scuba diving. Because first you figure a couple of people would find, hey, that guy's really good at falling off the boat backwards. And then word gets around.
That's the first step.
Yes.
It's like I'm just good at that one move where you just fall off the boat backwards.
That's right.
That's where I made my bones.
Right. When I go backwards, my flipper don't hit anybody. For a while, I was kicking people in the face with my flippers, but that's on them, really. And but then you become world renowned, where people in other countries know about you. You want to talk about scuba diving? You got to talk to Frank Martin. He's great, world renowned. Alan, is that why you don't like the Goonies, other than the fact that it sucks? No, the fact that it sucks is enough for me to not like it. The caves and those are huge caves, by the way. I would have no problem, like I mentioned, Mammoth Caves in Kentucky, something like that. If you were in a huge cave, that would be kind of a thing of wonder. But these people that get into these tiny spaces, I don't understand. God bless them. I don't understand. Now, wanting to do that.
Like Mary, I do think about what critters, not like there's animals that we don't know are in there. I'm thinking about, like, what if I get in there and there's a bunch of spiders that have just been living in there for I don't know how long, like, and it's way in the, like, there could be bats in there. There are things that are of this world that can get you.
Yeah.
I don't want to go inside a cave and explore that. That's their home. Like, now you're invading what they've been, like, a nice, damp, moist place. Ugh.
Just that feeling of, for me.
That is your worst fear.
Invading a damp place.
It's damp and moist, according to him.
It's different.
Damp and moist and dark.
Last night I was trying to plug lamps into an extension cord. It's like a strip cord under the bed. And I had both my shoulders under there, like moving stuff around. And for a second, I thought I was stuck. Like I couldn't get my shoulders back out from under the bed.
Did your stepson walk in and start role playing?
No, but what I'm saying is that just even in that brief moment of like, I might be stuck under this bed.
Panic.
Like it's that panic. I couldn't imagine being wrapped in a cave
and knowing you're probably going to die.
That's it. I'm not
if
getting
you don't
out
have
of
if
this.
you don't have cardiac arrest, which is probably that's the best way to go at that point.
Because you'll suffocate.
Otherwise you'll just
starve to death
or starve to death or go into shock. Not fun.
But since
For what?
since you're here, I assume to say you did it.
I got out.
You got out.
I did.
Yeah. Was your boyfriend home?
He was. He was.
So you could have yelled for him.
Yeah, he was doing something in the back room, and I'm trying to plug in a bunch of lamps and chargers and all this kind of stuff, and I got both my arms under there, and I pull out, and I'm like. You start breathing real quick.
Was a situation where I can't get my arms out and hey, are you still holding on to the plug? Oh.
No, my arms were like that, but they were in front of me, so I had to pull my arm back up under me and out from under the bed in order to free myself. Like
when Homer gets his arm stuck in the vending machine. Homer, are you still holding on to the can?
Yeah, her boyfriend couldn't hear her because he was in the non-existent basement.
Yeah, right.
What, honey? All right, I got to take a break. You want to text for something? 35192. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can listen to the show on the iHeart Radio app.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS.